I've been working mobily for 15 years. Some of it was in a trailer, some of it was in a truck, and I finally decided on a van, and 3 years ago I upgraded my van to this Mercedes Sprinter, and today I'm going to show you how I have it laid out with all of my tools to be able to perform a bunch of different types of work. In addition to trim carpentry, I also install home products and I also maintain rental property. Therefore, I have to have tools in place for plumbing, electrical, drywall, all the different types of trades that come up when I'm doing service calls. My tour is going to take you through what I refer to as zone 1 through 5. And zone 1 is the side that faces the curb and it's the easiest to get to. And these are my grab and go tools. Starting on the top, I have my track saw, and then I have my drills, followed by my drawers, which I refer to as junk drawers, and they're basically parts that don't really have a home, but I regularly access. Sometimes I realize when I see things in here that they need to have a permanent home, but this is just a place to put it where I'm not piling on top. Next, I have my cordless vac, and then I have 2 track saw crosscut rails. And then in this one, I have my hand drivers, like screwdrivers and set with a socket underneath. Then I have my portable table saw that's also a slider. And the stand for that is in the van. I'll be showing that where I keep that. Then I have my vac set for all the attachments, and I have a cordless sander. And then I have 2 energy sets, which is batteries and chargers that go to a lot of my tools. Next, I have my Top Rock radio, which is a Bluetooth radio. I actually cut a hole in the top of this cabinet so that I can use this in place and not even move it. Then I have my Bosch 360 laser level, my heavy duty drill, another small cordless vac for cleanup jobs, and then this right here is like my hardware store. And this is what saves me from running to the store. I just love the way this works out, and how much it holds is unbelievable. And I've got to open these up just to show you all the bits I could ever need. And on the bottom, I even have more bits and drivers and pre-drills. And this thing is all I need to grab sometimes in a drill to do what I need to do. Next, I have in here, I have all trim screws. And you think about a hardware store and picking up the containers they come in, how much space it would take up to have all of these different types of screws. It would take so much more room. My dead space is very little when you use light containers. Next, I have zip ties, anchors. I have 3M auto tape. I use that. I have about every kind of fastener that you could want and use in this one. And then, like I said, we're doing different trades when we're going to rentals. So on this one, I have a lot of my electric. I have wire nuts, wire tabs. These are, you can connect the wires and run them through loops. These are decking screws, tap cons, things for treated wood, everything in one place. And these are all of my screen components that I did use. Small screws, aluminum screws, magnets, all the little pieces that you quickly lose track of. And then next is zip screws and pop rivets, which I also do a lot of. So I have my pop rivet gun. I've got my little Bessie clamp that helps hold it in place. And I have all my pop rivets and matching screws. In addition, it's very handy. I have a little switch right here, and it's one of the many places I can turn on my lights, which are mounted up on the rack. I can turn it on and off from here. I also can turn that on and off with my phone, and I have a switch on the back as well. Let's move on to zone 2, which are the back doors and what I can reach from the ground, which is another important accessible step. I have my apron so I can quickly grab it, as well as a track saw and a drill that's not in a container that I can just grab and go. And I also have what I call my everything bag. A lot of times this is all I have to grab. I even keep a drill in here so that if I'm going to be doing some driving of bits or anything like that, everything that I need for standard jobs, tape measures, and a lot of stud finders and all that kind of thing are easily in this bag. And something really cool is this bag has different types of inserts that I'm currently configuring so that I can actually take out the insert and put in another one based on what type of job I'm performing. And the other thing that's really cool about our setup is that my son Cameron works with me in the summers. Next year he will be co-oping with me, and he has his own tool bag.
I work with him, like you said, in the summers, weekends, every chance I get. This is my tool bag, same brand, same thing, but just a lot better. I keep mine more organized. All of my tools, this is all mainly electrical stuff, and then installation, because just like him, I have to know how to do everything too. Wire strippers, linemans, everything over there. And then this is more woodworking side and a little electric too. I have screwdrivers, chisels, soft blow mallet, pry bars, drivers that you can put any bit in. That's really handy. Squares, measuring things, everything I can need so where I can throw this in my car and get some pretty basic things done without needing anything else. I'll be behind the camera. See y'all.
Also in zone 2, there's more things that I can reach from the ground, and that would be the 2 portable lights, which I also can use if I want some extra light inside of the van at night. I have my Bluetooth radio, I have a fire extinguisher and some commonly used solvents, some quick clamps that I can get to, and a square. This is another bank of light switches that I have for my light bar on the front. I have my side lights on each side, and then I have my rear lights, which are nice because these are like loading lights, and these lights are bright. They will shine a football field away from the van, which is so handy because a lot of times you find yourself loading up and the sun has went down. Cameron's apron is stored here. We have 2 of our muff ear protections for quick grab, as well as another tool pouch. We have our paper towels, and this is handy for when you end up putting things out the back door. You can strap it together, as well as orange tape to make you look official. I have a kind of a collection of that. I have some first aid in here, and then I also have some masonry string. The doors are something I have on my list to make more impressively laid out and organized, but I just haven't gotten there yet. I've been working more on the inside, so this is kind of just things that I can hang. Right here is my Grabo, which is so cool. It's be able to handle panels like 3/4 inch plywood, stick it on there, and you can even pick up stones. So handy. My ladder is still easily to access. I really struggle with my ladder location. I would like to put it right here, but you lose so much space. So I finally figured out if I put it up here, it's still easy to get out, even if you have stuff in the van, but it's not taking up the prime real estate. Here I have my miter stop cross guides, great for cutting long panels using with the track saw. And then I have one of my longer tracks right here that goes all the way in. And then this comes back to the rental property. And sometimes you just don't know that you're gonna need a shovel, but you do, and it comes up all the time. So it's so handy to have this in here, as well as working on rental property. I don't have time to call the water company. This is the shut off by the street. Can turn off the water whenever I'm working on something. Makes it a little bit easier. Also have a 6-foot level. This is one of the biggest improvements I have in a van because things happen and you're either gonna end up throwing it on the floor, putting it in your tool bag, but to have a trash can that's clearly labeled, that is so important. And then I believe I also have back here, I have a large pry bar, which you always need. I have another level right here, a short one. And then this has just become the home for my electrical wire, my leftover electrical wire. I've got it in there when I need it. Don't use it a lot. It's always nice to have it. And this is what I would call my caulk junk drawer. It's just a long drawer of caulk. I've got some sunscreen here, some spray polyurethane, bronze spray, just a lot of the regular sealants, caulks, and things that I have to use on a regular basis. The goal is to get this more organized, but here we are over a year later, and that's the way it is. And this is just a large stack of small drawers that I can reach things like pencil leads and glue scrapers, which I use gift cards, old gift cards, and credit cards, by the way. They work great, one-time use. And scraper blades, things that are kind of hard to have a home, but you want to be able to easily access them. I use these extensively, and I wanted to have them where I could not have to even walk in. Now, when I do walk into the van, a handy thing that I added is this step, because it sets pretty high off the ground. So having this step really helps to go in and out of the van. Okay, I do have lights on every pillar going through, and they're great, but on screen I know there's a flicker, so I'm actually going to turn those off. And I have them tied to the regular factory cargo light. And I'm going to start with this side right here, which we're going to call zone 3, and that is the left and right side of the aisle going all the way down. First, I have these handy little containers, and I have things in here that are very small, like Band-Aids. I have 3 different types of Band-Aids, and I have some watch batteries, like in smaller batteries that I use for some screen materials. And these are really handy to know where they are, and I can quickly grab them. Next, I have the section of, this is my concrete cutter, and I also have a metal cutting blade that goes with this saw. And this is really nice when we're working around veneer stone or needing to cut something out of a slab. And this is one of those things you never pack with you, but it's always good to have. In addition to this, I have, when I'm working at rental properties, have to cut limbs sometimes. I have a portable chainsaw. I have a battery chainsaw, and then hedge trimmers. And this is really comes handy in the summers when we're just maintaining the rental properties and we see things that need to be done. I have a product, an underdeck ceiling product, and for that, it requires a set of specialty tools. So I actually have a dedicated bag just for those specialty tools. So when I'm working on that job site, I just take them with me and go, and I don't have to pack up for it. Then I also have, this sustainer has all of the clamps that I use on a job site, plus it has a little MFT top so I can use it mobily. Below that, I have product samples that I can show to customers, which is rare, but I do have them in here. And then I have, in the same format as the ones on the other side, I have washers, O-rings, cabinet screws, floor tools, and I have some open space. And I actually labeled this as open space because this one's about 1/3 full, and I know I have room for that when I'm looking for a place to stick a new item. Then I have a rain and mud container. This has 2 sets of muck boots and rain jackets all in here because you never know when you're going to get caught on a job site with mud or in a rainstorm. Next, I have my duo light, which is it's my big light that I can use on a job site. Comes in handy. And then I have a heat gun, and I have a crown stapler, an old reciprocating saw, and I have a couple of nailers in here. And in this one, this is an example of how I combine a lot of my sustainers together. Like in this one, it's a pin nailer and a finish nailer, all the batteries, and I have fasteners in there, and I've got those all into one sustainer. And that saves a lot of space. Then this one I have the Bosch Bulldog, my multi-tool, and a grinder. This is a random one. And then in this one I have like electric tester, GFI, tracers, that kind of thing. I have more electrical in here, Panduit connectors, wire nuts. Then I have a lot of cabinetry things in here, like cabinet screws, break-off screws, 1¼ inch screws, things used for cabinet installs. And then this one is for decking. So I have the Trex screws, and I have the plugs and the things that go along with decking all in this container right here. Next we have the label has fallen off from this one. I'm not even sure what's in here, but let's see. This is my cross-cutting jig for my track saw. Not used a lot, but it is in here because I would use it mobily. If I was in my shop, I'd be using something different, so I keep it in here. And then I have my case for another drill. This is my things to be sorted container. It's just an open sustainer. And when I'm in my van, if I'm in a hurry or I'm just trying to pack up, I put things in here, and it means they need to go to their final destination. Keeps me from putting things on the floor. This, in addition to the trash can, is very important to how my van stays looking organized, even when it's getting a little out of organization. This one is my router and my router bits. And then I have a plumbing 1 and a plumbing 2. And I think I didn't touch on plumbing on the other side, but this plumbing container saves me so many trips to the hardware store because I have, for water line breaks in the winter, I always keep shark bite connectors and all the connectors I need. For leaky faucets, I always keep all of my washers where I can take care of those without having to run up and get a certain size. I have my PEX cutters, and I have my faucet channel locks that don't have teeth on them, so it won't, like a shower head, it won't mess it up. I also even have washers for like what you have on a water hose where it won't have leaks. Toilet bolts and all the shark bite removers, all the things that you need that you normally have to run up to the store and you waste about an hour. I'm able to get those done without leaving the job site. Also, I want to point out on the back of this, I made the boxes perfectly straight, even though the way the Sprinter, it goes up about this high exactly, and then it starts arching over. So to get the maximized space, I built normal square boxes and I put them up against the back of the van. And then on this part right here, I set them out so they touch on the top, but it gives me a space behind here. So behind here I see right now I have a rain jacket in here. I have some pipe insulation. I have PEX pipe. I have some copper pipe back here. I have fish tape. I have long bits. I keep a lot of things back here. It's surprising how many things. You just have to kind of know what's back here. I have a caulk gun. I have a paint tray. I have a lot of things that I know where they are, and Cameron knows where they are, and that's all that really matters. There are things you don't use a lot, but having that long space is really handy. Let's do the bottom row now of this side, and I have a 60 track saw, which cuts a little bit deeper. I have my jigsaws. I have a container, which is called a cooltainer, and it's actually a cooler. It's really handy to have this. Some days on a hot day, you can just load it up. I already have it in here, and it fits in the same format as all my other containers. This is my wood repair kit that I can grab. It has waxes, fill crayons, poly spray, all the things I need to be able to restore a wood floor, like fix a wood floor or furniture damage I may create that I just want to fix and not really talk to the customer about. This is my magic case. I also have another track saw. This is the dual one, battery one. It works great. I keep it on site with my bag, my dust bag. And then I have a air compressor, which really doesn't get a lot of use anymore because now with the battery powered nailers, I rarely use an air compressor. This is actually an open space. I was using it for something else, and I've just recently found another spot for it. So I have open space, which is awesome. This is my restoration grinder. It's used for taking off paint, and I can use it for a lot of really heavy-duty tasks, even grinding concrete. And then I have my reciprocating saw and all the bits that go with it right here, easy to grab. On the top section, I have my extendable plank, which goes to, I think, 8 feet. And then I also have our stilts that we use when we're installing things up high. It saves a bunch of time, so it's worth keeping them in here. I also have my long cutting rail on the ceiling out of the way. Cameron 3D printed these brackets that you just pull this right here and it drops down, and that's the way you lock them in. It works great. I also have a fan in the roof, which is nice in the summer. It keeps it from getting too hot. It's hooked to the battery. Let's move on to zone 3, passenger side. I have my miter saw extensions, which keeps them up out of the way with a Bessie clamp. They won't get damaged. I also have some telescoping sawhorses behind that I don't use a lot, but it's nice to have them when I need them. I have a lot of Bessie clamps here, and they serve 2 purposes. There's a place to store them. It's also a place to hold these sys carts in place. And the sys carts are a way for me to take my containers when I'm taking a bunch off site. I can load them up and take them out on wheels. So I don't really have a lot right here. This is just the back side of the door, but I see an opportunity for storing things such as maybe some vutainers and some smaller, longer, thinner things here, but so far I haven't needed to do that. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where my ladder should go. It ended up being standing upright a lot in the van, and it would move around because it takes up so much room. And I found that laying it this way up high really stays out of my way, and it still allows me to use it because I feel like that I almost use this every time I go and work somewhere. So I put this up here as well as my blower because it seems like I use my blower after every job instead of a broom. So I'm almost using this every time I get the ladder out. This is my dolly for the cordless table saw, but it's also a great work surface. So I use this like a workbench now a lot. So much that I took out my portable MFT bench and I use this now instead. Air compressor, which I use regularly. When you have a tire that goes low or anything like that, you can use it. I have battery storage back here. Down here I have my cordless miter saw, which is on its stand. It's connected, and I found that the wheel will fit just inside of the body panel, and it holds it in place where it doesn't need any type of fastening at all. I also have an MFT slab for a work surface. If I need it, I just use it with my sawhorses. I keep these 2 handy 2-foot little giant ladders. They work with my walking plank I showed earlier, and whenever possible, I grab these ladders over my long one because one-handed you can set them up, and they're really handy to have on the job site. I'm going to call zone 4 the aisleway. And the aisleway is a very important thing. It's important for carrying materials such as sheet goods. If I put a 4x8 in here, I've had as many as 30 4x8s slid in here, and I'll just clamp them to the wall where they can't move back and forth. Sometimes you have longer things. And as much as I love this back factory wall of steel, forget what it's called, it's for safety, a crash wall, partition wall, I just couldn't take not having this open. So what I did was we made it a door where the top part opens up, it slides out, and it can come out for longer things. And you can also take out the bottom as well. So instead of being like 12 foot of storage, we can go 14 feet, 14 plus, without having to have the doors open. So this part also becomes a place for, say if I was doing a tile job or Any type of job that wouldn't be normally something that is part of my core tools, I would place those in here. When I used to have a larger portable table saw, I would put that in here when I was going to be doing something, or a larger air compressor, anything like that that's non-standard, it goes in the center aisle. If I can't fit it in this center aisle, I do have a long flat trailer and an enclosed trailer. But if all possible, I try to avoid using a trailer on the job site. So when it won't fit in here, I can bring it up here. This is my roof rack, which is fully floored, can walk around. Cameron and I even can put chairs up here and just hang out on a job site. But I have plenty of places to lock into, and this runs the entire length of the van. I've put 20-foot loads up on top of here. Really easy to get up and down. There's a ladder on the back, and this has been a great addition to the van. I get a lot of questions about what this box is on the back, and it's just a waterproof box that we put a lot of things in. Currently there's straps in here. I have the hitch, and I have some gas for when we use the weed eater. I also can put my inverter in here and leave the lid open, but it's mainly for keeping smelly things from being in the van, and also storing straps is super handy, and it's a watertight box and it's lockable. For more information on building these simple cabinets with these sys rails, check out the link above. It's called Festool Sys 3 Sustainer Storage.